SCOTTGOLDSTEIN, Fire Chief, Montgomery County Fire Rescue. So it's 10:30 in the morning here on Saturday. Right before 6 a.m. this morning, Montgomery County 911 started receiving calls from this building here on Georgia Avenue, 8350. We arrive at Silver Spring for heavy smoke coming from an apartment. Crews arrived to find what is a 14-story building with a large column of smoke coming from the rear of the building. Indications told us that there was a fire on the 7th floor. Crews proceeded to the 7th floor where they did find an apartment on fire on the 7th floor. Work began to evacuate the residents, address the fire, put the fire out, search for any additional residents. In an event like this, we do get a lot of 911 calls for other folks in the building. Some of these calls today were from 7th floor units concerned about or stating that they were trapped in their apartment. We instruct those personnel to go to their balcony. Some of them have balconies and stay at their balcony or stay in their unit with the doors closed. But we did have a multiple number of apartments in which the residents were unable to exit the hallway based upon significant smoke conditions. As I said, this is a 15-story building with 14 levels of occupancy. In that element, it adds up to roughly 450 apartments, okay? Building A is where the unit was on fire. It's attached to Building B. There's about 225 apartments in each A or B. That takes our number of roughly 1,200 to 1,300 residents. As of now, and these numbers are continuing to change, 10 civilians have been transported from the scene. Some with critical injuries, some with non-life-threatening injuries, and that's been to an assortment of hospitals. 7 civilians have self-transported or self-reported to local hospitals from this structure. So a total of 17 civilians at this point. 3 firefighters have been transported for minor injuries to local hospitals from this incident. This incident drew a 3rd alarm response, plus a large element of additional ambulances and EMS vehicles from both Prince George's and Montgomery County. The fire has been extinguished and the operations are now focused on resident services and investigations. Across the street from the building is the DoubleTree Hotel. The DoubleTree Hotel has taken these folks in, and as we talk here, they are having a meeting inside the building with emergency management, health and human services. The team assembled here to help is the Shelter Task Force led by the Health and Human Services in conjunction with American Red Cross and the County Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. On site, as I said, we're working on investigations as well as building reoccupancy concerns. We are in the middle of a process of checking the building, what areas are water damaged, what areas are smoke damaged, what areas the utilities may be impacted, so we can get occupants back into their structure and their apartments, as well figure out where they will be going. The detail on a shelter is not yet known, but there may be, or will be, if needed, a shelter established. I'm going to pause there and start with my right and go around with questions. Derek.
Did you have fire extend to any other apartment than the one where it started?
Question is, did the fire extend to any other apartments? It is not my understanding at this point, no. The fire was maintained or contained in this initial apartment on the 7th floor.
Were there any explosions? We have reports of explosions.
There was a video taken from somebody of an explosion. There is nothing that I'm aware of at the moment pertaining to an explosion. I've seen that same video.
Any time frame on how long it's going to take for your crews to
It varies. Again, if it's building B, that time frame may be within an hour or 3. If it's building A, it depends upon which floor we're talking about, because this is technically 15 stories and we're right in the middle. So
Building A being that building where the fire was.
building A is the building on this corner towards the Spring Street, Georgia side where the fire was.
Okay.
But building B is connected by that stairwell or the sky bridges.
I mean, you said third alarm fire. Can you just tell us how many people responded to this?
So
Or an estimate?
an estimate is about 30 people on each alarm. So it's over 100 firefighters here. It would very easily be 150 when you add it up after we get to the final tally.
Chief, can you talk to us a little bit about both alarming in this building and whether or not there are sprinklers available to assist in this?
So the question is the alarming and fire protection systems and the fire notification systems in the building. There is a sprinkler system in the building. I believe it's limited to the stairwells and other mechanical areas. There are no sprinklers in the residential units nor the hallway proper. On the fire alarm, we're still working to determine that. The fire alarm was clearly active and working when our crews were here, but I believe that is a appropriate to the ERA fire alarm, which notifies the occupants of the building.
Could you characterize for us what some witnesses have told us, which is that your firefighters were working desperately to get upstairs to make rescues, to haul hose. They described extreme amounts of smoke, and meanwhile residents are coming down. Could you characterize that situation for us? How would you
So Scott, your characterization is exactly the issue in a high-rise fire. 14 or 15 story building with the alarm going off at 6 o'clock in the morning with roughly 700 or 800 people in that physical A building using 2 stairwells. They're going to be coming down. Fire rescue crews will be going to go up.
What kind of people are in the building?
1 second, ma'am. Fire rescue crews will be going up.
What types of people do they let move in?
The occupancy and the exchange of folks in the stairwells, we tried to designate a ventilation stairwell, a fire attack stairwell, and then an evacuation stairwell, because we want to keep the stairwells adjusted. Coordination comes into play, but indeed, you have fire crews going up, residents coming down, all in the same stairwells, and yes, the smoke conditions on multiple floors throughout the building were identified as extremely dense or 0 visibility.
Could you characterize the type of injuries that have
A wide
gone to the
range,
hospital?
critical and life-threatening to non-life-threatening.
Were these all smoke related or were some related to exposure?
Too early for me to be able to break that apart and to tell you about those 17. Okay? Any other questions? Sure. Will be another update. The time Pete will put out. Okay?
So you are going to come back and do another briefing at some point.
There will be another one. The time will be determined. Thank you. No problem.
Were there ladder rescues?
I know the question was asked. I don't know if it was. Clearly, there was about 7 or